to be a comparison of atheism and theism. So before I get started, though, for one moment, just forget everything that you have ever heard about God and religion. Everything. Forget all of it. Let's just look at reality for one moment here. So analogies can help us step outside of the forest to see the trees. So I'm going to look at this as an analogy. Imagine you travel to a newly discovered planet. For all you know, you are the first one to step foot on this planet. When you get on the planet, you discover a supercomputer that is incomprehensibly more complex than anything ever produced on Earth. Some people produce some ancient records that claim to be of people who have made contact with a super intelligent race that they claim made the supercomputer. So they've had these records for a long time. Some people look over the records and see that not all the records appear to be identical in their description of the ancient race, and that there are also some errors in the record, things that just don't line up with evidence. These people conclude that the records must therefore be fraudulent, and they discard them as a source of evidence. They then come to the conclusion that the supercomputer must have been spontaneously arranged because they see no other evidence of any intelligent life around besides the records which they determined must be fraudulent. The ancient records, however, gave some instruction of how to make a device which can be implanted in your brain, which will allow you to have telepathic communication with the superintelligent race. Some people make the device and put it in their brain. They claim to suddenly be able to have the ability to telepathically communicate with the superintelligent race. Another group of people make some alterations on the device based on some of the differences in the various records. These people claim that these alterations give them the ability to cast magical spells like a wizard. They claim that the effects of these magical spells are invisible, but they offer to sell the devices for a good price. The group of people who concluded that the records were fraudulent see the device salesman and the absence of their wizard spells, and take this as further evidence that the records are fraudulent and that any and every form of the device does nothing, and therefore the supercomputer must be spontaneously arranged. So, being curious, but also skeptical, you go ahead and read all the records. This is as many as you can get your hands on. You compare the similarities between all the different records. And based on those similarities, you construct a device of your own, which you then place inside of your brain. To your amazement and astonishment, you suddenly have the ability to communicate with a super intelligent race. Information about this race floods your mind. You suddenly know about the super intelligent race as if they were your lifelong companion. You look around at other people who claim to have magical powers and claim a lot of other things that you think are strange. You wonder if you might also have magic too. After a while, you conclude that you probably do not have the ability to cast invisible magic spells, but you try to keep an open mind about it since you were skeptical about the telepathy part 2, and that part ended up being true. The people who call the ancient books fraudulent and assume that the supercomputer was spontaneously arranged accuse everyone who put a device in their head as being delusional, less intelligent, and gullible. They even accuse them of being evil, since many of these people actually sell the device and make money. You are open to the idea that you are delusional, but the telepathy experience was so profound that it is the strongest evidence you have ever encountered in your life. You continue to have an open mind about all possibilities. You still aren't 100% sure if you just had some kind of intense delusional episode. You still aren't sure if you don't have the potential capacity to cast magic spells. You aren't sure if the records are 100% fraudulent. You aren't sure if one of the records might be 100% accurate. You wouldn't know which one that would be anyways. if parts of some of the records are accurate, you aren't sure which parts are accurate or which parts aren't accurate. It seems like the parts that were similar between all the records have the highest probability of being accurate. Also, since that was the part that you based your telepathic brain device on, since the device worked, you assume that this part is more likely accurate, or you're delusional. You still aren't sure if the supercomputer was made by a super intelligent race or if it was spontaneously arranged, but the former seems more likely. All you know for sure is, number 1, the supercomputer is really, really advanced. Number 2, there are similarities between most all of the ancient records. Number 3, the device either worked or you are now delusional. And 4, whenever you have communication with this super intelligent race, which communication may or may not be delusional in nature, it fills your entire mind with an experience that is unlike any experience which you have ever had. And during the communication, you somehow know without any doubt that the super intelligent race exists. When the communication periods are over, you may or may not have doubts. So, you try to reason the whole thing out. You call the supercomputer life. You see that life is incredibly complex and intricately organized. You conclude that either its assembly was from a non-intelligent source, non-intelligent assembly, or it was by intelligent assembly. If it was from non-intelligent assembly, you try to come up with ways that you think this might have been possible. You conclude that chaos, the universe, in motion, plus infinity, or in other words, chaos in motion over an infinite period of time, would guarantee that every single arrangement possible would occur. And one of these arrangements would guarantee the existence of life. So, there, you just came up with a theory that explained life via a non-intelligent assembly. On the other hand, you look at the case of an intelligent assembly. In this case, you use the explanation of a creator. The creator gives you a guarantee of life. However, you also realize that if there is chaos and infinity, that the chaos infinity would result in every possible formation of matter, and that this would also guarantee the possibility of creators. So both instances actually could be used to support intelligent assembly. Furthermore, the same reasoning which guarantees the existence of creation also guarantees the existence of a creator, which could be more or less advanced forms of life. In chaos plus infinity, it is equally probable for a more advanced life form to exist as a less advanced life form. Therefore, a creator would have the capacity to create many times, increasing the ratio of creations versus spontaneous formations if both scenarios were placed on a timeline. However, since we are dealing with infinity, both are equally infinitely probable, but one would have a higher ratio if time is a factor. Conclusion: both are viable theoretical explanations for life. But let's draw this out for a second. So we said that the small red line there represents the probability of life, and that the small blue line represents the probability of a creator. Then we think of the likelihood that life would be able to advance in its technology, and therefore there would be two instances of the possibility of a creator, one being innately formed, and the other one advancing to become into a state that was able to create life. Then you think of the number of instances over a certain time period in which a creator would be likely to create life versus life to spontaneously form. And it seems more probable that something created would happen many times versus a ratio of something being created spontaneously would happen less times. But since you're dealing with infinity, all this is really complicated and sort of impossible to wrap your head around. So far, we have also only theorized that the universe, chaos plus infinity, caused the formation of a creator. Therefore, in this theory, the universe produced a creator. The universe could have done other things, though. What about the idea that a creator is as innate as the universe itself? Meaning that the universe and a creator both coexisted eternally? Or what about the idea that a creator formed the universe? In other words, the creator came first and then the universe came to be. Or a creator produced a universe. Well, that whole theoretical process wasn't conclusive. So you try a different approach, a pragmatic approach. Pragmatic means the one that's the most helpful or most useful. So you look and see, what does communicating through my brain device offer me? You notice, well, it gives me the best experiences of my existence. It gives me an answer regarding the origin of the supercomputer. It gives me wonderful association with an organized group of people who also believe like me. Partly anyways. I mean, some of them are a bit more open-minded about some of the weirder things, and some of them think that they can cast magical spells and a little more open to that sort of thing than I am. But either way, it gives you some great things. Well, what does not communicating through my brain device offer me? No more of the best life experiences. No answer regarding the origin of the supercomputer, which by default could say that it was spontaneously created or arranged. And no wonderful associations with an organized group of people who also believe like me. On the plus side, though, I don't get mixed in with the weirdest ones anymore, or have people assume that I agree with everything that they agree with. That can be kind of frustrating. Also, I have more time to do other things besides using my brain device. Unfortunately, there is nothing quite as incredible as using the brain device that I've discovered yet. And that's the end.